Hey, this is Dave Pirner from Asylum, and you are watching Artisan News.
Call you up in the middle of the night, like a firefly without a light. Call me at the office. Call me sad but true. Got me thinking that I guess I'm going pretty good, but I can't tell it.
First things first, let's just jump right into the album. What do you think was the biggest challenge in getting it done?
Getting it done, actually. It took quite a bit of effort on the part of everyone in the band, and we kind of went in a full circle to the kind of do-it-yourself aesthetic that we started off with. So after all these years, we picked up all the tips that there are from all the producers and engineers that we've worked with, and we all kind of know how to do it ourselves. So it was really put together by the band in a really organic sort of way. And you know, you're also tapping into all the new technology and sending files all over the place, and a lot of kind of stuff that is pretty different than the way things used to be.
You know, and it's funny because you say that, but when I listen to the album, I think this is the way things used to be. So maybe it was just the way it was mixed and put together.
That's exactly what we're going for. It's a $1 million record for a fraction of the cost, you know, because we have spent incredible amounts of money recording and making videos, and now that the industry has changed the way it has, I mean, we just made a music video for nothing compared to what we used to spend, and it was actually more fun because there was less pressure and people standing around and a whole staff of stylists or whatever.
So just to give us an idea, what would the music budget in the Runaway Train days cost compared to what a video now would cost?
Upwards of $800,000, and I think we spent under 10 grand for this most recent project. And the guy's like, "Oh, that's a really nice camera. Who owns that camera?" It was like one of those red cameras, and they go, "Oh, the cameraman." So you hire the guy that owns the camera, right? Stuff like that, you know. It comes together, and I think the thing I like about it the best is that the people that are the most passionate about it end up being the survivors and the people that stay with it. So you are kind of left with the people that are the most passionate about music and stuff, and that's kind of cool.
Does that also go for the band itself? Because it seems to me like there's a newfound energy.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, the guys are all seasoned veterans that have all kinds of incredible experience that they all bring it to the picture. And you know, when we started off, none of us knew what we were doing, and you know, now I'm working with Michael Bland, who used to play with Prince, and Winston Roy, that has done a lot of stuff on Broadway and played with millions of bands. So they bring these experiences to the music that really opens up a lot of possibilities, and that's exciting for me. I get to sort of realize a lot of the musical ideas that I've had in the past and just been frustrated with not being able to execute them, you know.
And Can't Help It sounds like it was fun to make. I mean, that just sounds like it's right on out there. Talk about, you know, making that song and how that song came about.
Well, oddly enough, I mean, it's one of the more aggressive things on the record, but it started off as kind of an acoustic riff that I was just playing on the acoustic guitar. And then as the process goes, I met Michael Bland out in LA, and John Fields, who is our sort of producer, and actually John said to me, "I got to get you and Michael Bland in a room together." And that's how me and Michael kind of got together. So it was just the three of us, and John can engineer and produce and play bass. So Michael's in the room, and I'm in there with him, and then John's in the control room. And I remember telling Michael to think in sixteenths, and somehow that translated to him, and he went, "Oh, I got this," and then and it just all came together like instantly, and it was a really fun song to record, yeah.
And I love how, I guess, at least on the version I have, like the next song is Doomsday, so it's like you go from this thing and then you got like a real melodic. Did you do like that A-B and show the diversity in the beginning on purpose, or what was kind of like the tracking?
I mean, I think that at one point in music there was something called album-oriented rock, and people would put the best song last on the record or something like that, and that kind of went to the wayside with the short attention span of the MTV generation. I don't know what it was, but everyone started front-loading their records. Like, you want to put the good stuff first, or no one's going to make it to the fourth song, So that's still kind of around for us anyways. You really kind of want to suck people in early in the record and keep them in there. So yeah, you kind of, the single is the first song on the record, and hopefully we'll get to a third single. And I was just somewhere yesterday where they asked me what songs to play off the record, and oddly enough I was like, well, play the first one, and then play the third one, and then I'll play the second one, and
Change of Fortune, what inspired that to be the title of the record?
Actually, Winston was so exhausted with the process of trying to get everyone to agree on something, he just went, here's what we should do. Name the record Change of Fortune and put it out. And I was like, great, somebody made a decision. And, it just made sense to me, and it's great to get the perspective of someone else in the band, and it's a song I'd written, so he's taking a title that made sense to him, and it kind of makes sense to everybody. And yeah, it's a real band. And the last time we toured, it was really crystallizing to the point where everybody was really finding exactly what needed to happen before and during, and all the preparation, and really started working like clockwork in a way that is extremely progressive as far as I'm concerned. There's no meandering, and everybody's on a mission, kind of. Hey, this is Dave Pirner from Asylum, and we'll be right back.
How do you structure your set list? Like, what does that look like?
Well, I typically let someone else do the set list, and now kind of Michael has taken I was trying to explain this, like Michael Jackson and Madonna and people like that have something called a musical director, and Michael kind of comes from that world, so he's like sort of by default the MD of the band, and it really works to sort of I played in a band called the OGs that I played drums in, and it really works to kind of direct from behind the drum kit. So when he asserts that sort of power, it really works, because he's controlling the stopping and starting of the song. So, and he's very good with cues, and we're all very into eye contact, and he will set up a change with the fill that everybody knows exactly when it's coming and things like that. So yeah, he will throw the set list together and do all kinds of things that I would never think about. Like, you can't have that key next to that key, and those are two songs in the key of C, and you don't want those together, and those tempos are this, that, and that. And he's talking about all kinds of things that, I'm probably thinking about the lyrics or something, and he's thinking about the tempo and the key signature. And so, yeah, we try to mix it up, and everybody has their input on, that song's not working, or let's switch that one out for that one. At one point, we had gotten the set so good that Michael's just like, we're just going to play the same set every night. And that got a little like, okay, we got to switch it up a little bit. But that was a well-oiled machine at that point.
And switching gears a little bit, talk about, having PledgeMusic, working with them, and how that plays into what you do these days?
Well, it was definitely a new concept to me. I mean, I was familiar with what Kickstarter was all about, so that kind of gave me a reference point. And I talked to a guy on the phone from PledgeMusic, and I just thought he's one of the smartest young people I'd ever talked to. I was just really impressed. And I think for us, I mean, I'm a bit of a Luddite, you know, I'm a bit of a technophobe, as you can see with my flip phone. Thank you very much. And, you know, so it was a way to sort of engage the band and the internet in a way that we just kept sort of stalling and stumbling and trying to understand how to use this technology, and they're just really completely on top of it. We just played a house party, and that's one of the things you can do. You can have me and Justin come and play in your living room, and then we put that money towards the making of the record. And I was very dubious at first. There was a lot of trepidation on my part. I just was like, this seems weird. It seems like you're just asking your fans for more, you know. But it gives them an opportunity to hang out with the band, and lo and behold, there I was in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, which was about 30 minutes out of Minneapolis, and the people that had hired us were longtime fans that I'd been seeing at shows forever. So there we were in their living room playing for them and their friends, and their minister was there who had used quotes from my lyrics, and it was just really sweet, and it was really exactly what it was supposed to be. It was a really intimate experience and there's none of this like, and they all know that I don't want everybody holding their phone up and filming it, and they know enough about me so that they kind of know how to be, and nobody's like going, Dave, because I'm just standing there. I'm there to hang out, you know. So it was everything that it cracked up to be, as far as being sort of an intimate band fan experience. So, and then there's some other things, like I could make paintings and put them on the site, and people can buy my paintings, and I've been painting my whole life, and I was just like, well, I never understood how to sell a painting, but if I'm going to try, it might as well be to somebody that identifies with the music. And so yeah, it turned out to be a pretty cool experience. I had to write out a lot of handwritten lyrics, and at one point I just felt like I will not throw spitballs in class. I will not throw spitballs in class. I will not throw, you know, I had to write out the lyrics to Runaway Train 8 times, and I was just like, oh boy. I can't complain.
Now your next assignment is somebody to show.
That's right.
That's your next assignment.
I was really dragging my feet on that one. It was just like doing homework.
And you know, I just want to kind of rewind to the first time that I heard about Soul Asylum. I was, you know, it was in the 80s in a guitar magazine. And this was before the whole grunge explosion happened. And I was like, wow, this is really, really different. I'm sort of surprised that they would put a band like you know, in that magazine, because at that particular time things were so rigid. Kurt Cobain was able to shatter all the stereotypes or what have you. But you know, talk about being around before and how that may have helped you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I specifically remember being in Seattle playing with Husker Du and the Replacements and stuff, and a lot of these people being at the shows, and you know, specifically Husker Du took us out on the road a lot, and sort of, you know, between Soul Asylum and Husker Du and the Replacements, I think that it was kind of an organic kind of, I don't know, like a germ that was sort of spreading, you know, and it really was a struggle. I mean, we just toured with the Meat Puppets, who, you know, I love. They've been my favorite band forever, and now Kurt's son Elmo is in the band, and to see that sort of thing happen is really exciting for me. And you can see all this body language that they probably don't even know they're doing, you know. And I think at some point or another, we're all kind of trying to kick the door down, and all of a sudden Nirvana came along and kicked it down, and everybody walked right through it pretty much.
Were you kind of lamenting the fact, because you were writing some really good stuff, but you just couldn't get past that, what I thought was a bias at that point in time?
It was very difficult to sort of, when we first got to A&M Records, it was kind of called like college music. And then they started calling it alternative, and we were making fun of that expression because we're alternative to anything the label will promote, We're alternative to anything that the label cares about. And now it kind of has a positive ring to it, but back then it was just like the stuff that the label didn't know what to do with. And you just kind of get pushed to the side, so you see the Replacements and Husker Du, and we're just making records for these labels, and they just don't know how to market it. They don't know what to do with it. It's a rock band. Oh my God, what a weird animal. I'm like, it's two guitars, bass, and drum. I think we've seen this before. Hey, this is Dave Pirner from Soul Asylum, and we'll be right back.
The Grammy in '94. What was that experience like for you?
It was pretty surreal, but at that time everything was kind of surreal. We were just so busy and so all over the place, and I had kind of come from a place where, we won a Best New Band in Minnesota Music Award, and we tied with Husker Du, and we'd been together and been playing for it seemed like forever at that point. So I was already jaded about the whole award ceremony, and my acceptance speech was even like, music isn't like sports. It's not a contest. That's not, how it works. And so I was like, it didn't really, it didn't, I didn't want to feel like it meant anything. But it does mean something to other people. So it's just one of those things that looks good on your resume. And, every now and then someone will go, oh, you're a Grammy-winning artist, and that's a big deal to them. And I distinctly remember my kid taking it to show and tell, and his mother just handing it out the car window going, oh, you forgot this. And I was like, there it goes. So I gave it to my mom, and my mom gave it to my kid. And, and now it's kind of a charming thing and a nice thing to have. And I'm actually more flattered by it now than I was when I won it. Well, Eli, my son, and my only kid, is hopefully still taking piano lessons. His first piano teacher was so great, so then he had 3 teachers after that, and he fired all 3 of them. So now he's trying to go back to his original piano teacher. She moved out of town, and do like a Skype FaceTime piano lesson with her. That's what a great teacher she is. And I would buy him CDs and stuff. When he was a little tiny infant, I would rock him to sleep every night and kind of try to brainwash him with Bob Dylan and Bohemian Rhapsody and just stuff that I liked that I thought would sound oddly familiar to him later in life. And I think it had a bit of an effect. I don't know if he would ever admit it, but and then I bought him a lot of CDs. And we kind of bonded on hip hop for a while. And when he was even younger than that, I'd buy him like a death metal record, and he would just think it was hilarious and start running around. And so we went through a lot of different kinds of music when he was really, really young. And then the phone came into play, and then he just disregarded all the CDs and went straight to the phone for all his music. And I honestly don't know what he listens to anymore. He doesn't, I'm not privy to that information, and he does not share with me, and that's fine with me. He went to a sock hop not that long ago, and I was really curious to see what kind of music they were dancing to, and some of it was pretty traditional stuff, you know. It's like, I don't want to say the bunny hop, but you know, things like that, just sort of group dancing things for kids. Much less the fact it's called a sock hop, which I believe that expression has been around forever, which, as far as I can understand, just means take your shoes off and dance on the gym floor.
That's a Happy Days reference for me, right?
All right.
Yep. The sock hop. It's the first time I heard about that. But, you know, it's funny because I think that what you guys established and what bands of your generation established was sort of an authenticity in music. Do you think that something like that could happen again? Do you think that we will see another movement like that again?
Well, I mean, I think it's happening all the time, whether people are paying attention to it or not. And, you know, it's a little bit of a shame if a great songwriter goes unnoticed, and you know, it makes me a little sad. I mean, I've seen some great songwriters like Vic Chestnut and Victoria Williams have just like a little tiny spotlight on them for a little second, and it never seemed like they were getting enough attention to me. And that could be a hard road, you know. So that's if you're up against, you know, Rihanna and Beyonce and Miley and Taylor, that's kind of a big obstacle. So, you know, I think that people still fly that independent spirit flag as much as they always have, and it kind of comes up and down in visibility, but you know, I think the essence of it is that you just have to keep doing it if anyone's paying attention or not, and just kind of hope for the best and keep doing what you do. And you know, hopefully things will come around and the good things will rise.
Because music has changed, or music on the radio has changed so much. I mean, what's your take on what has happened to rock bands and what's going on in the landscape at this point?
It seems to kind of evolve in a circle, in a way that you have this precedent set back in the day where there was a lot of teen idols, and today those people seem to be coming from the Mickey Mouse Club. And you know, it's all music, it's all good and fair and everything like that. It's just, there's always sort of a corporate trying to get that disposable income young kid dollar that really has fueled the industry so much that almost anything besides that is kind of a challenge to the sort of cookie cutter thing that's been going on forever. So, you know, every now and then they take down the Britney Spears poster and put up a rock band, and it's not too long before the New Kids on the Block or whoever is the next, then they're taking the rock poster down from the executive offices and putting up a new Svengali boy band, and it kind of goes back and forth a little bit, but it's always been kind of prevalent, you know, the band that doesn't write its own music, or the star who's just a beautiful person or has a beautiful voice, but not, you know, not Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan, I think, was really pivotal in changing all that, and, you know, bringing down the Brill Building aesthetic of having the artist be somebody who's the performer and the writer be somebody that doesn't perform. I mean,
and to piggyback on that, what do you guys hope to do to get the attention of the kids who might not have grown up with Soul Asylum?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I wish I had the answer to that question. I mean, it's cool when we play at some of the outdoor things in the summer, and you'll see the parent who's a fan with the kid who seems to be enjoying it just as much. And that, I love playing to little kids, and it's before they're even jaded. So, you know, there's a certain point, I think, where an individual will grow to an age where they will develop their own taste, but it happens, I think, maybe at a different rate for everyone. So, some people are just more into music than other people, and some people will just take whatever they're spoon-fed, and other people need to go seek something special for themselves and find their own thing. And that's kind of always been what I think the Soul Asylum people are looking for, something different, and they're a little disenfranchised from the whole corporate cookie-cutter music thing.
And I know you did the Clinton inauguration. Do you still keep a beat on politics? Are you very into politics? And what do you think about and if you are, what do you think about what's going on with both the Republicans and the Democrats?
Yeah, I've always been pretty, I guess politicized might be the right word, but it is interesting to have been, I think we played 3 or 4 events for Bill Clinton, and at the last one he asked me for my harmonica, and it was really cool to sort of go, oh, here it is, man, and get to talk to him and ask him to free Leonard Peltier and political prisoners and things like that, and have him go, oh, I'll think about it. I'll look into that for you, Dave. And that felt really inclusive, So just that Hillary is part of that family, I feel a little bit of an affinity towards it. But I didn't really have to think about it the last time the primaries came around, because it was too difficult for me to think about because I still think Obama's a great president. I mean, I just do, and I think he's getting a really bad rap right now. But I'm feeling the burn, and I just got introduced at a David Bowie tribute thing as I'm feeling the Pern, because my drummer calls me Pern, which is short for Pirner. So I like what Bernie Sanders is saying, but it's difficult to not think that the Clintons are more insiders and they might be able to get more done. I think, Obama got really stonewalled in a lot of ways, that it was very hard for him to make a lot of progress, and that's just kind of nothing going anywhere. So I would be happy with Bernie or Hillary, and I just can't imagine having a president like Donald Trump. I just think that would be probably the worst thing ever. I don't know why people think he's going to share his money with them. That's ridiculous.
He's going to have giant balloons and popping cash.
Right. That's why he's rich, because he doesn't share his money with people.
You talk about, you mentioned the Bowie tribute. Talk about how Bowie influenced you.
Wow. I guess in a way it was more unique to be a David Bowie fan than like a Beatles fan, because he seemed almost alternative to how popular the Beatles were, and a little out there on the cutting edge, as it were. And I played a song called "Hang On to Yourself" during the tribute, and it really has, the guitar part is very punk rock sounding guitar playing. So that part of it is pretty pivotal, and like Lou Reed and people like that sort of predate the punk movement are really important characters to me, just as far as the evolution of what rock and roll means to me. So he was kind of a real, I don't know if I like this expression, but a Renaissance man. He was a shapeshifter and a changeling and all those kind of crazy things that were, something that he could pull off like nobody else could. And it was the whole package. It was all kinds of sort of testing people's sensibilities in a way that he was sort of just messing with people's perceptions and making them think, whether it's thinking about politics or thinking about their sexuality or whatever it was. It's pretty engaging in an intellectual way, and the music is the same way. I mean, his new record is as progressive as anything I've ever heard.
What's coming up for the next, say, 3 to 4 months for you? What's the road ahead?
Well, we are playing at South by Southwest this year for the first time in many years, and that'll be interesting to see how that festival has developed over the years. And we have to play at 10 a.m. before a NASCAR race to make enough money to get the band through South by Southwest. So there's a lot of weird things like that, where sometimes you just got to go play a casino so you can play the cool club in town, because it doesn't pay enough to keep the show on the road. So you got these things called anchor gigs that are gigs that actually pay while you're doing all the cool gigs. And so we'll be doing a lot of, I expect to be playing more than ever with the record coming out, and I'm very excited about it. The band loves to play, and that's when we're in our element, and that's what we were all raised to do in our own ways. That's our mission, our purpose, and that's when I feel like I have a purpose. And hey, I'm singing, I'm playing, I'm down. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is my element. It's my job,
And what was your first South by Southwest experience like?
I'm sure it was terribly exciting. Although, you do get jaded pretty quickly. And there is a movie called Frank. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I could totally recommend it as far as what the South by Southwest experience is like. It's a guy with a paper mache head, and it's just a great movie. We just got an offer. I just came in today to play an event for Waterloo Records, and I'm pretty sure that they have a thing out in LA for radio called the Weenie Roast. And I'm pretty sure that we came up with that expression, and it was playing at Waterloo Records in Austin in, 1984 or something. And it's nice to get asked back after all these years, And that kind of feels good, to sort of have these still continuing relationships with people that are still at it. So, the first time it was because people were discovering us, and that's always a thrill to be at an event like that and have people kind of, oh, you're that band we've been hearing about. And then the next time we played it, I almost felt kind of like we shouldn't have been there, because we were established, and I was like, this is for bands that need to be discovered. And now it seems like we're playing it to remind people that we're still around, Which is fine. We're getting a lot of great gigs, and they're still coming in. So it should be fun, and it's fun to be in a situation like that where you have the experience, and people want to ask you questions, and you can answer them because you've been there before,